Okay, so picture this. You're on a cruise, sun is shining, you've got that ocean breeze, and life is good.
Sounds pretty idyllic.
It does, right?
Yeah.
But then someone vanishes. Just like that. Poof!
Yeah.
And that's the mystery we're diving into today. The disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley.
Oh, this one's a classic. It's a case that has captivated people for decades.
It really has.
So before we get into the details, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment as we try to unpack this case.
Always a good reminder.
So who was Amy Lynn Bradley?
Well, she was a young woman, recent college grad from Virginia. She was athletic, loved playing basketball, swimming, had just landed a new job, and was excited about the future.
Sounds like she had a lot going for her.
Absolutely. And she was close to her family, especially her younger brother, Brad. This cruise was actually a gift from her dad's company. A Caribbean getaway on the Rhapsody of the Seas brand new ship.
Okay, so the perfect escape. A dream vacation.
Exactly. Except there was one thing. Amy wasn't exactly thrilled about the cruise.
What do you mean?
She had a fear of open water. Really? That's interesting, especially considering what happened.
Right. It makes the idea of her voluntarily going near the railing or, jumping overboard seem very unlikely.
Okay, that's a little strange. It's almost like a premonition or something.
And didn't her family also notice some weird behavior from some of the crew members?
Yeah, like Amy was getting unwanted attention.
Yeah.
Her mom even remembers a waiter, asking them to pass a message to Amy, inviting her to a bar with the crew in Aruba.
Wait, what? And what did she say?
She refused, saying those crew members gave her the creeps.
Gave her the creeps. Okay, that's a red flag. It's like something out of a movie.
Yeah, where the danger is hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. So Amy was already feeling uneasy even before she disappeared. Well, it's hard to say for sure, but this detail has fueled a lot of speculation.
It makes sense.
Okay.
So let's fast forward to the night before she vanished, March 23rd, 1998. They had a formal dinner family photo, which later becomes significant because Amy's individual pictures from that night were missing.
Oh, that's weird.
It is. Then she and her brother hit the nightclub on the ship.
Living it up.
Witnesses saw Amy dancing with the band's bassist, a guy nicknamed Yellow. And this guy pops up a lot in the story. What's the deal with Yellow?
Well, he becomes a central figure, especially as his story starts to unravel. He initially claimed he last saw Amy at 1 a.m., but witnesses placed them together much later, like around 5:30 a.m.
5:30 a.m., so he was with her just hours before she disappeared.
Exactly. And there's another thing. He seemed to know about Amy's disappearance before it was publicly announced.
Hold on. That's strange. How would he know that?
It is. It's like he had insider information.
Like he knew something was going to happen. Okay, so what happened next?
Well, the siblings returned to their cabin around 4 a.m., and this is where things get murky. Amy's dad, Ron, woke up around 5:30 a.m. and saw Amy asleep on the balcony.
Okay.
Went back to sleep. But when he woke up again at 6 a.m., she was gone.
Gone. Just like that.
Gone. And the really strange part is only her cigarettes and lighter were missing.
Her cigarettes and lighter. That's bizarre. Why would she leave everything else behind?
Exactly. It doesn't make sense. Like, if she was planning on going somewhere, why wouldn't she take her shoes or other belongings?
Yeah, it doesn't fit with someone running away or even going for a walk on the deck.
Right. It suggests something sudden and unplanned.
So did the family start searching right away? What was the ship's response like?
It was incredibly slow. The captain actually refused to make an announcement or secure the gangplank.
Seriously?
He refused.
Yeah.
He insisted it was too early to alarm passengers.
Too early. In a missing persons case, every second counts.
You're telling me. And that delayed response has been heavily criticized.
As it should be.
By the time a proper search was initiated, the ship had docked in Curacao, and hundreds of passengers had already disembarked.
So a huge missed opportunity.
Absolutely.
Did they ever find any evidence on the ship itself? Any signs of a struggle or anything?
Unfortunately, no. The ship was a constantly moving crime scene, and by the time authorities were able to conduct a thorough search, any potential evidence could have been lost or contaminated.
Ugh, that's so frustrating. So they had no leads to go on, no starting point.
Well, they did have witnesses who had seen Amy with Yellow late that night.
Right, so naturally he became a person of interest.
Exactly.
Hold on a second. This guy, Yellow, was the last one seen with Amy. His story is full of holes. He somehow knew she was missing before anyone else, and he just happens to be a musician on a cruise ship. This is giving me some serious Jigsaw vibes. It's like he's playing a twisted game.
Well, while it's tempting to jump to conclusions, it's important to remember that Yellow was never officially named as a suspect. The FBI interviewed him extensively, but couldn't find enough evidence to link him directly to Amy's disappearance.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it's still suspicious, right? Were there any other theories about what happened to Amy,
Well, the cruise line remained fixated on the overboard theory.
even though she was afraid of the ocean?
Yeah, despite Amy being a strong swimmer and terrified of the ocean, her family was adamant that she would never have gone near the railing voluntarily.
That's what I was thinking. If she was so afraid of the ocean, why would she be hanging out by the railing at 5:30 in the morning? It just doesn't add up.
Right. It's a major point of contention in this case.
It's almost like they wanted to sweep it under the rug and pretend nothing happened. But with so many unanswered questions and Amy's family pushing for answers, it's hard to just ignore it, right?
Yeah.
Did the police look into any other possibilities?
They did. As the investigation continued, one theory gained a lot of traction: human trafficking.
Oh, wow.
At the time, the Caribbean was known as a hub for this horrific activity. And sadly, Amy fit the profile of potential target: young, attractive woman traveling alone.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like a parent's worst nightmare. You send your daughter off on a fun vacation and she ends up in a situation like that? It's unthinkable.
It is. The human trafficking theory is the most disturbing, but also one of the most compelling in many ways.
It makes you wonder about the dark side of the cruise industry.
Oh.
The things that we don't see or hear about.
Exactly.
So did they find any evidence to support the human trafficking theory? Any leads that pointed in that direction?
There were a few things that made investigators consider this angle more seriously. For one, there were rumors of this kind of activity circulating even among the cruise ship staff, which just added another layer of unease to the already disturbing circumstances.
It's like the more you dig into this case, the more questions you have. And with so much speculation and uncertainty, it's hard to know what to believe. Did the police ever identify any solid leads, any tangible evidence that could help them solve this mystery?
Well, there were a few potential breakthroughs, but they all seemed to lead to dead ends. For example, a taxi driver in Curacao claimed he was approached by a woman matching Amy's description, asking to use his phone. This would have been just days after her disappearance.
Wow, so she might have been alive and trying to reach out for help. That's huge. Did she say anything about what happened? Why didn't she just call her family?
Unfortunately, the taxi driver's account was just that, an account. There was no way to verify if the woman was actually Amy, and no further information came from that lead. It's a common problem in missing persons cases. These fleeting glimpses and potential sightings that offer a glimmer of hope but ultimately fade into uncertainty.
It's like chasing shadows. You get a brief glimpse of something, but it disappears before you can grasp it. So were there any other sightings that offered clues about what happened to Amy?
There were a few, and they each add another layer of complexity to this case. But we'll get to those after a quick break. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment with your thoughts on the case so far. What do you think happened to Amy Lynn Bradley? We'll be back in a moment to delve deeper into this chilling mystery.
So those sightings, right? It's fascinating how these snippets of information can either fuel speculation or lead to frustrating dead ends.
It's like trying to piece together a puzzle where half the pieces are missing and the picture keeps changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You mentioned other sightings. What were they like?
Yeah, you said there were a few. Well, about 5 months after Amy disappeared, a Canadian tourist claimed he saw a woman who looked exactly like her on a beach in Curacao.
In Curacao.
Yeah. And he even said he recognized her distinctive tattoos.
Tattoos. What kind of tattoos?
A Tasmanian devil and a gecko.
Okay, so he specifically remembers seeing those tattoos. It wasn't just a general resemblance.
Right, that's what makes his account so interesting. He described a woman who was clearly distressed, accompanied by 2 men who seemed to be controlling her. She tried to get his attention, but was quickly hushed by one of the men.
Okay, now this is starting to feel like something straight out of a spy thriller. A young woman goes missing from a cruise ship. There are these mysterious sightings on remote islands, shady characters lurking in the background, and a desperate family searching for answers. It's like a real-life episode of Lost.
You're not wrong. This case has all the elements of a gripping mystery. And just when you think it can't get any stranger, another piece of the puzzle emerges. Remember that family photo I mentioned earlier? The one from the formal dinner.
The one where Amy's individual pictures were missing? Yeah.
No, that's about it.
Well, sometime after the cruise, the family received an anonymous email. It contained photos from a website advertising prostitutes, and one of the women looked strikingly like Amy.
Wait, what? So there's a photo of Amy on a website for... That's horrific. It's hard to even imagine what her family must have gone through seeing that. Did the police investigate the website? Were they able to track down the people behind it?
They did, but like many aspects of this case, the trail went cold. The website was hosted on a server in a country with very lax internet regulations, making it incredibly difficult to trace.
It's like the people responsible knew how to cover their tracks. It's as if they vanished into thin air, just like Amy.
The lack of concrete evidence in this case is one of the most frustrating aspects. We have these tantalizing pieces of information, the sightings, the photo, but nothing that definitively tells us what happened to Amy.
So what about the family? What do they do with all these dead ends and unanswered questions? Did they just give up? Absolutely not. They were relentless in their pursuit of the truth. They hired a private investigator, an ex-military mercenary named Frank Jones, who claimed to have leads and promised to get Amy back.
Wait, an ex-military mercenary? That sounds intense. Was he legitimate?
Sadly, no, Jones was eventually exposed as a fraud, preying on their grief for his own financial gain.
That's awful. To think that someone would exploit a family's pain like that, it's just sickening.
It is. He was arrested for defrauding the family and the Amy Bradley Fund, which had been set up by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
So even after that devastating setback, the family didn't give up.
No. They continued to raise awareness about Amy's case, appearing on television shows, working with organizations dedicated to missing persons, and tirelessly advocating for her. They even worked to change maritime laws to improve safety and security on cruise ships.
Wow, their resilience is incredible. It's a testament to the power of love and the unwavering hope that a family has for their loved one. Did any of their efforts lead to new information?
Well, in 2005, there was another possible sighting of Amy, this time in Barbados. A woman claimed she saw someone resembling Amy in a department store restroom, accompanied by 3 men who were threatening her.
So even years later, there were still these glimmers of hope, these potential sightings that kept the case alive in people's minds. Did this sighting in Barbados lead anywhere?
Unfortunately, it was another dead end. Despite the witness coming forward, the authorities couldn't corroborate her story and the lead went cold. It's a recurring theme in this case. These brief moments of possibility that ultimately fade into frustration.
It's heartbreaking. It's like every time the family gets close to an answer, the trail disappears. Did the authorities ever consider any other theories besides overboard and human trafficking? Anything that could explain those strange sightings, the missing photos, the email with the website?
Well, there's always been a lot of speculation about the crew's involvement. Remember, the family noticed some odd behavior from certain crew members right from the start, and the fact that Yellow was the last person to see Amy alive, coupled with the inconsistencies in his story, has always raised questions.
Right. I remember you mentioned he seemed to know she was missing before it was announced. That was super creepy. Did the police ever find anything concrete to connect any crew members to her disappearance?
Unfortunately, no. They were all thoroughly questioned, but nothing substantial ever emerged. The cruise line maintained that their employees were cooperating fully with the investigation. But some people believe that they were more concerned with protecting their reputation than finding the truth.
It's understandable that the family would feel that way. When you have so many unanswered questions and conflicting accounts, it's natural to start questioning everyone's motives. What about the authorities? Did they ever officially name any suspects?
Officially, no. The case remains unsolved and there are no named suspects, but that doesn't mean the investigation is closed. The FBI still considers this an open case, and they continue to follow up on any new leads that come in.
So there's still a chance that this mystery could be solved. That Amy's family could finally get the answers they've been searching for all these years. It's been over 2 decades.
It's definitely possible. Sometimes cases that have gone cold for years can suddenly heat up with a single piece of new evidence or a fresh perspective. Advances in DNA technology, forensic science, and even online investigative techniques have helped solve countless cold cases in recent years.
That's encouraging. It gives you hope that even in the darkest of situations, there's always a possibility of finding the truth. So what's next for Amy's case? What are the chances of actually cracking it after all this time?
Well, that's a question we'll explore in more detail after a quick word from our sponsors. But before we take a break, I'd like to hear your thoughts. What stands out to you the most about this case? Share your theories and comments below, and we'll see you back here in a moment.
All right, so we're back to the chances of actually solving this case. I mean, after all this time.
It's a tough one for sure. Time can make things a lot harder. Witnesses' memories fade, evidence degrades, trails go cold. You know, the whole deal.
Right, but can't time also help in some ways?
Oh, absolutely. Time can work in favor of an investigation, too. Sometimes people's loyalties change, new information comes to light. And, just the persistence of investigators and families, it can really wear down those who might be holding on to the truth.
It's like that saying, truth will out. Eventually, it has a way of coming to light, no matter how well it's hidden.
I love that saying. And, there have been some significant developments in recent years that could shed new light on Amy's case.
Like what?
Well, for one, there's been a growing focus on using DNA technology to solve cold cases. Even a tiny speck of DNA, if it's found and analyzed, could potentially link someone to Amy. or to a location where she might have been.
It's amazing how technology is helping solve these mysteries that seemed impossible to crack just a few years ago.
It really is.
What about the other theories we discussed? Do you think there's any chance Amy actually went overboard, despite her fear of the ocean?
It's not impossible. But it's highly unlikely given what we know about her. She was a strong swimmer, sure, but she was terrified of the water. And her family insists she would never have gone near the railing voluntarily. Plus, there was no evidence of a struggle or any indication that she might have fallen.
It does seem like there are too many unanswered questions for the overboard theory to hold water.
Yeah.
What about human trafficking? Do you think there's any chance she's still alive after all these years?
It's really difficult to say. Human trafficking is a horrific crime, and the victims often endure unimaginable suffering. If Amy was caught in that web, it's possible that she's still alive, but living under duress, unable to contact her family or escape her captors.
That's a chilling thought, but one that I'm sure the family has clung to for all these years. That hope that she might still be out there somewhere waiting to be rescued.
And the human trafficking angle does align with some of the evidence, particularly the sightings and that photo that was sent to the family.
Right.
But without more concrete evidence, it's impossible to know for sure.
It's a case that really shows the darkness that can be hidden beneath the surface. You go on a cruise expecting fun and relaxation, and then suddenly you're faced with this nightmare scenario.
Absolutely. It's a stark reminder that we need to be vigilant, even in situations where we feel safe and secure. And it also highlights the importance of questioning assumptions and demanding accountability from those in positions of authority.
So after all these years, what can we take away from Amy Lynn Bradley's story? What's the biggest lesson we can learn from this tragedy?
For me, I think it's the importance of never giving up hope. Amy's family has never stopped searching for answers, and their dedication is truly inspiring. It's a reminder that even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles, we should never give up on our loved ones.
Their resilience is a testament to the power of family, that bond that keeps us together, even when facing unimaginable loss. It's a powerful reminder that even when the world feels cold and indifferent, there's still love, hope, and that unwavering belief that truth will prevail.
And it's a story that continues to resonate with people around the world. Amy Lynn Bradley's disappearance is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even paradise can have hidden dangers. But it also inspires us to be more aware, more vigilant, and more determined to seek justice for those who have vanished.
It's definitely a case that makes you think. And it reminds you that sometimes the most important answers are the ones we may never find. But that doesn't mean we should stop searching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment below. We love hearing your thoughts and theories. Until next time, keep those critical thinking caps on. And remember, sometimes the most compelling mysteries are the ones that remain unsolved.